practice being present. Practice, no matter how challenging it is, that what we have is the present moment. Hello, my sweet. How are you today? Happy Friday. And for those of you celebrating Memorial Day weekend in the States, I know you are getting ready to kick off a long weekend that I am sure you are looking forward to. And for everyone else, Buona Sera. Good afternoon from my headquarters here in Tuscany. And wow. Where do I even begin? I have been putting myself through the ringer, and my brain is a little fried. My body is just starting to calm down because I had a nice, long, easy morning journaling, meditating, getting myself into alignment. And so I wanted to share very transparently behind the scenes 2 ways I have been ruining my life and a little bit my marriage. So fortunately, both are back on track, and I always like to do relatively speaking, my own process before I bring it to you. As a former psychotherapist, I'm just not one to do therapy on my following. However, I'm pretty much on the other side of it, and I wanted to bring you the learnings and the insights while they are still fresh. And I've been on a cleanse lately, so my brain is a little fuzzy, but I actually think my brain is fuzzier from the emotional hangover of the stress and the spinning and the worry and the unnecessary frustration. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? That haze of the emotional hangover can be very real. So we are going to say a prayer and move forward. Dear God, thank you. Thank you that the ways that we stress ourselves out and get into any of the gnarly emotions, thank you for reminding us that they are completely unnecessary. They don't need to be part of our human experience. They certainly have nothing to do with you. They don't come from you, and nor do you have any intention for us to experience life in that way. So in this moment, I surrender all. I surrender any residue of the fear. I surrender all the forgiveness for myself and to others in this process. I release my small fear-based thinking. And I joyfully open up to seeking more of what you have in store and being more faith-filled and more available only for the good that you are leading me to. And we pray all of this believing, amen. All right. So I'm actually much happier than I sound, but like when you're getting over a cold and you're like, you still sound like scary to people, and you're like, no, I'm feeling better, when you really are. But it's just, anyways, that's where I'm at today. If you don't hear quite the normal robust pep in my step, but I'm actually sitting here almost in tears of joy and with so much gratitude for the Holy Spirit and the awakening that I've been through. All right, so I will keep you out of the misery. The details of what I'm going to share actually don't matter. I'll share them because you're going to find them, I think, probably fairly silly or relatable. We will see. And I share them just for you to find your own life in this story. That's the only thing that's important to me, is that if my story can save you or spare you from this unnecessary detour, then that's what this podcast is about. So when I was in the States a few weeks ago, hosting my mastermind in Mexico, which I loved, 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 I got an email from my Italian realtor saying that the owner wanted to sell this house that we are renting. And if you haven't been on the Gina looking for her home for a year saga, this was nothing short of devastating. And if you have been on the journey, then you know exactly how much of a large pit in my stomach I experienced. Because according to the lease, the landlord can give me a 6-month notice, which meant I have 6 months, but still the last thing I want to do right now is look at real estate, get back on that train. I had just finished unsubscribing from every listing agency, everything from my journey for the past year, and was so excited to just settle in. Plus, I love this home. And, as much as was humanly possible, I was practicing what we all practice, the elements of a queen, the qualities of a queen, of I'm thrilled this is happening because, okay, well, there must be something better. Well, the something better wasn't sure was going to be worth all the pack up and the move, and we had just gotten like utilities in our name, all of this stuff. For the first time in my life, I wasn't excited about moving. But what could I do? We checked in, we're like, is he sure? Is this solid? She's like, absolutely, he's very motivated. I'm like, okay. So we're like, well, we need some time just to get back, and then we'll meet with you. And so we did. And we were just stressed about it. Like, where are we going to go? And what's it going to be? And, how, we were planning on shipping some other like furniture things over. And are we not going to do that now? And it just felt really strained and really stressful. So we set up a meeting with an attorney to really understand what it looks like to buy property here, because we don't want to go through this again. We set up the meeting with our own realtor saying, show us. I'm like, I don't even know if I want to buy this place. He was giving us first right of refusal. I'm like, I just got here. I haven't looked at anything else. I don't know if this is a great deal. I don't know if this house is a dime a dozen. If this is a rare jewel. Ugh. So we set up a meeting with her, and then we set up a meeting with the landlord the next day to just explore all of the options. So it had been and P.S. my poor friends, you know who you are. So all of the process. Should I buy? Should I manifest something different? Should I just all of the should I? And then, not to mention, I spent a decent amount working with my own coaches and healers, the whole thing. So we sit down for coffee at this, slightly dreaded meeting on Wednesday of this week. And she had been sending us listings in other comparable places in the area. And so I just said, all right, well, I just don't want to assume anything with the Italians. So I know I have 6 months to move out once he's given me notice. So is this notice that? Have I been given notice because he said he wants to sell, or is he going to wait until he actually has a buyer and then it'll be 6 months from that time? When does my 6-month clock start ticking? And she looks at me and she said, no, Gina, you signed a long-term lease. And I said, I know, but in Italy, for those of you that don't know, a long-term lease in Italy, they call it quattro e quattro, which is 4 and 4, which means you're taking out a 4-year lease, but if you want to leave at any time, you can give a 90-day notice, and the landlord can give a 6-month notice. So it's really a 3-month and a 6-month lease, but they call it quattro and quattro. And I had read the lease. I had it transcribed very thoroughly in English, so I knew this. And she said, no, you must have misunderstood. And I was like, what did I misunderstand? She said, you signed a 4-year lease. You have 4 years, And in 4 years, if the owner can prove that he or she has to move back into their home because they have nowhere else to live, at that point, after the 4 years, they have to give you a 6-month notice. But otherwise, this is your home for the next 8 years unless you give a 90-day notice. Glenn and I looked at each other. We couldn't even laugh. We were just slayed and splayed at the amount of like anticipating, future tripping, all getting angry. I can't believe they leased us this place, knowing that we made all these assumptions. No, they knew that they were going to want to sell this place and just wanted us to start renting it in the winter, and the realtor was in on it. Trust, we had ourselves figured out, and them. And I was like, so he's selling it, but I don't have to move. She's like, yeah. She's like, the only thing that would change is the landlord. So if the current owner wants to sell it, he can sell it, but your lease has to be honored. So if someone else wants to buy it, I'm like, but that doesn't really affect me at all in that sense. She's like, no. I'll take another cappuccino, please. So and here I was so sure. So the first way that I was ruining my life was assuming that I had all of the facts, and assuming, well, I think just pretty much that is the most universal term for us, right? Like whether you're dealing with something with your kid or your partner or a team member or a client or a friend or a vendor or anything. So oftentimes when we get disgruntled, we've usually been brought partial information, and then we think we're just so smart that we go and fill in the rest and then make our judgments and our assumptions. And so oftentimes I will coach my own clients. They'll my private clients will vox me with, and Gina, and what about this? And my client said that, and my husband did this, and the whole thing. And I was like, well, let's get the rest of the information. I'm excellent at helping my clients not future trip and get the whole amount of the information. And yeah, so queen to queen here, me and you. Let's do ourselves, our nervous systems, our brains, our communities, everyone a favor, and practice being present. Practice, no matter how challenging it is, that what we have is the present moment, and do what we must to get all of the information, which obviously in this particular scenario turned out in my favor. So it was like easy to be like, see, God always has a great plan. But even if the information would have been different, I still must be a woman of faith that God always has a great plan. And if God wanted me to move, then that was in fact what was best for me. And what would have been best for me would be to adjust my attitude about it. So we're so conditioned that we don't have what it takes, or something's not working out the way we want, or we're too tired, or whatever the thing is. And let's change that up, shall we? Let's just change that up. So in the midst of, I don't know why I picked this week to do a cleanse, but I did. So I'm on a cleanse, which is going to create different dynamics inside of my body. Then I'm dealing with future tripping, which is manifesting also gnarliness inside of my body. Then there were some things at work that I had to do and clearly did not want to. So I thought that I was being mature enough to just not have a temper tantrum about it and just kind of suck it up. And it's like, well, it needs done. I have to do it. So let me just be in a really bad mood, roll up my sleeves, be a complete martyr, and get this stuff done. yeah, that's going to really create a successful dynamic. If anything coming out of that energy would at best be gnarly. But I couldn't see it differently. I'm so used to being the one who does certain things in my own company that I just didn't see another way. And thankfully, I do a meditation practice every morning that at least starts me out in a good frame of mind. And Glenn does as well. It's one of the things we're so grateful for in our partnership, that we both are really committed to this practice, because we know that we will change our consciousness through meditation if we just stay consistent. Well, this morning, I really didn't feel like meditating. And the first thing I do in the morning is I sit up in bed and do the meditation, and Glenn goes downstairs. And he's really into it and loves it, and always asks me, so how was your meditation? How was your meditation? So today I was just kind of putzing around on Instagram, which is not, I don't normally turn my phone on first thing in the morning, but I've been in this gnarly mood and waking up off this cleanse, and I was like, let me just go look at dachshunds and sourdough bread making and things that make my heart happy. And I was like, I'm just gonna, and 45 minutes went by, and I was like, that's normally how long I meditate. I was like, Glenn will never know. And I'm like, what about when he asks you how you're meditating? I'm like, what if I just lie? What if I just tell him it was great and move on with my day? And I was like, Gina, DeVee, this is your conversation with yourself at the first thing in the morning. Honey, you better get those earbuds in and that eye mask on stat, or you are going to have a really lousy day, even I can tell. So I did, and I put in my guided meditation, and it was so great. Like, why do we do this to ourselves? We're like, I don't want to work out. I don't want to meditate. And it's like, have you ever gotten out of a workout where you're like, I'm really upset that I took that time for myself? Well, I got such a cool idea for my Q club in this meditation. And I was just filled with all kinds of possibility. And even about this thing that I didn't want to do, I didn't get any breakthrough other than being in a good mood about it, which, trust, was Herculean compared to where I was at yesterday. So I go downstairs, and there's Glenn, all perky and pepper skepper, like, hey, darling, how was your meditation? And he's there with his cup of coffee and his earbuds, and he had just finished his. And I was like, actually, it was great. And I was proud that I didn't have to lie to him. And I was like, let's go talk about it outside, because it is summertime in Tuscany. The cypress trees, it's just warm weather and sunny. So he made me a cup of coffee, and we go outside. And he's like, I want to hear what really delights your heart. Like, what really delights your heart? He's like, because you've been building and growing this business for so many years now, and I know you've done a lot of things that you didn't always want to do in it. What really delights your heart? And I was like, damn, this meditation stuff works. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I love my spiritual personal development side of things, and I love my lifestyle side of things, and the cooking and the dachshunds. And I'm like, I'm not going to go all homesteading on anyone here, but I am following more of those accounts than I might want to admit right now. And he said, what if I take over this other project that we had going on? And I looked at him, and I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I'd love to do it. He goes, I got a lot of energy and a lot of passion around it, and I'm actually really excited about it. He's like, and it's pretty obvious to everyone you're not. And the old me, even as miserable as I've been about it, would have been like, no, 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 I'll get my attitude adjusted. I'll do. And I was like, thank you. Yes. Actually, yes. And yes. Thank you. And it started to show me how much we women are doing nobody any favors by putting the whole burden on ourselves. And I know that I have a very devoted, strong, capable, loving husband. And if anybody listening is a single mom or just single or doesn't have a partner that, you know, can kind of show up in this capacity, God knows where the people are who can help you. But the point, though, is none of the resources, none of the solutions, none of the people can show up when we've got this energetic force field of martyr and I have to do everything and this is mine to do. The universe is going to follow that. If I'm walking around saying I have to do this, the universe isn't going to bring to me someone else. I've already declared this is mine to do, even though it was begrudgingly. So can we make a vow to ourselves, to humanity, and to our destiny? There's no way I'm going to fulfill my destiny if it is clogged along the path of doing stuff that I think that I have to do that I don't actually want to do. And same goes for you. We have got to stop wasting time and energy future tripping and stop saying yes when it's a no. And I know that you are saying yes because you're just like me. I said yes because I was trying to be a good leader and team member, and I knew it needed done, and I really genuinely thought I had to be the one to do it. I've always done it, and so I want us just all to wake up. What are we doing? You know, are you saying that you're going to take your kid to his friend's house on a Saturday morning when you want to sleep in, but you're trying to be a good mom, but it's like really putting you in a bad mood? Or, you know, are you helping a team member with something or a coworker, like even like you don't want to, you want them to figure it out? Or you like just are you listening to that friend complain about that guy again and you don't want to? Like, let's start seeing what level of trust and faith we actually have in the divine. Because if we trust the divine, and if the divine is connected to our desires, then we would need to start trusting, wow, I don't really want to do that thing. So that must mean I'm not meant to do that thing. How about them apples? Right? And then I get it, the quivering, but wait, but how else is it good? Like, how else is the kid going to get taken care of? How else is the money going to come in? How else is the launch going to get handled? How? Well, let's find out, shall we? You're never going to find out, and I'm never going to find out until you become so unavailable to be anything but the queen that you are. And queens live by desire. Queens thrive when their frequency is feeling good and feeling happy and feeling delight. And you're going to have to keep believing for your dream. I get that too. When I first moved in, so check this out. When I first moved to my Tuscan farmhouse, my dream is to have chickens and get a dog. For those of you who are wondering, for those of you who've been on the journey, I had a dog named Lily and Oscar. They were two, a chocolate and a yellow lab. And between different places we were moving and pandemic and flying across the world to relocate, and it was only a rental, we weren't moving, we found very, very bit heartbreaking, but very good homes for both of them in different homes. So they are well supported and taken care of and very well loved. And we get pictures, with them all the time, which is kind of melts my heart a little bit. So, and I'm a dog person. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm not getting big dogs anymore because I do travel and I want to make sure that when I travel, I can bring them on the plane with me and all things. So started looking into little dogs, and I've fallen in love with dachshunds, the short-haired kind. So anyways, doesn't matter. But I'm so excited. Like, I'm envisioning myself moving to Italy and taking my dachshund to the farmer's market and sitting next to me in the piazza while I'm having an Aperol spritz, and there's my little dachshund there. And then I also want chickens. So this one I do know very clearly in the lease. Not only is it in the lease, it was formally discussed. There are absolutely no animals here. The previous tenants had a couple of dogs and chewed up furniture, and they were like, absolutely no, 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 no. So it was like a verbal and a written. And then Glenn was like, hey, Gina, you love dogs because I'm the one who takes care of the dogs. And he's like, I'm done taking care of dogs. So hard no on the dog thing. So I was getting blocked from my dream in every single area, legally, literally, and even from my baby love. So I didn't give up on my dream. I would keep envisioning like a dachshund running around on my terrace and going to the market with me and the whole thing. I knew I had some trips and I didn't want to deal with all that during my trips. Well, I have one more trip to Marbella, Spain next week. And after that, Gina's got no trips planned. Gina has moved to Italy. She has found her home in Tuscany. She also doesn't have to move for 8 years now at least. So like I am setting down roots. So the day we found out, I'm going to digress for a minute. The day we found out that we don't actually have to move, Glenn and I both raced to the nursery and we bought like 5 different types of tomato plants and 2 different types of peppers. And so we are starting the garden. So that's exciting. That planting starts tomorrow morning, I think. And then when the landlord came the next day, because we were thinking that we had to talk to him about all of this as well, I knew he had a dog, and I asked him if he would bring his dog during the meeting, and he's got a little French bulldog. And so I'm playing with the French bulldog while the men, of course, are meeting over the important matters of real estate. Hey, I'm fine with it. I know who's in charge of what. So I'm playing with the French bulldog, and they're handling all their this, that, and that conversation. At the very end, Glenn says, and I said, would just ask him if it's okay for me to have a dog. He's like, Gina, I'm not doing that. If you want to do that, you did. And I hear at the very end, he's like, and I have one more favor to ask you. Yep, there's my baby taking care of things. He's like, my beautiful wife here really wants to complete her Italian dream with a dog. I'm thinking like, well, we're going to complete that with a few chickens, but I'll take it for now. And he's like, sure. And the owner kind of likes me. And I was like, really? And I had a picture all set and ready on my phone of this dachshund. And he's like, yeah, Basotto, he said. I guess that's what they're called in Italian. Basotto, it's my favorite kind. I was like, great, mine too. So there we go. So I go and I just start, but Glenn hasn't like completely acquiesced and all yet. And I just start looking up like Basotto for sale near Florence. And I go and I find this one, and I was like, I didn't know how expensive they were, but I didn't care. It was just, I haven't anyways. So, and I go and I try and call the guy, and he doesn't answer, and it was like, all right. And so I went and looked up another one. And not that this is what it's about for me, but it was like 1/5 of the price. And I go and I like message this woman. She messages me right back. We get in touch on WhatsApp. I'm going to go see a little Basotto tomorrow. Yes, she's, I think 2 months old. So I can't get her yet. However, don't know, I have to find, I couldn't quite understand the whole thing, but I understood enough that the woman gave me her address that I can go see. There's 3 girls and 1 boy, and I think I get to go pick out my little Masoto tomorrow. So I mean, what a difference Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday makes here, people. So all of this to say, I had to sit down this morning and realize all of my dreams are coming true. Now, all of my dreams have not yet come true, but they are all coming true. And if this is what's going on for me, I know my God doesn't love me any more than you. This is what's going on for you too. And we've just got to clear out the cobwebs, the old way of being, the emotionally immature temper tantrums, filling our energy fields up with all the stuff that we don't want, believing that things aren't going to work out the way we want. And when we adjust that, the transformation really sets in, and far more quickly than I can fathom most of the time. If you would have asked me on Tuesday that I was going to have my dream of a long-term place to live, a garden, a dog, all by the end of the week, are you kidding me? I mean, I'm all for big thinking and fast moving, and that was a little too big and a little too fast even for Gina DeVee. So, but it wasn't for God in the universe. And the same with your life and the solutions that you get to bend time and space over. I wrote about that in my book. So if you want some help bending time and space, make sure that if you have my book, reread that chapter. If you haven't gotten my book or listened to it, you can get it that way. We do have the ability to bend time and space, and even I forget. So you're not alone with it. But let's not dwell on that, shall we? Let's move in to our big lives and move into the transformation and seeing what else is possible for ourselves. So clearly, I can do this a lot better for other people than myself sometimes. I get myself there, but sometimes I pretty instantly can see it for others. And that's why I hold these Transformation in Tuscany retreats. Anyone who's come to my retreats, I was one of my mastermind women who started out coming to a retreat. She's on an African safari as we speak today, and she's like, it's like one of Gina's retreats. It's like every day feels like 6 months, meaning you're just not the same person from morning to evening when you step into the room and come to one of these retreats. So I only have 2 available. Take advantage, June or September. Go ahead and check out the link in the show notes or go to divineliving.com/Tuscany. I keep these retreats really small, intimate, high-end, and luxurious. So this one is, they're both taking place in the heart of Florence. We're going to go up to, there's a beautiful loungy meeting space where we'll meet, but then we'll be on the rooftop of this boutique hotel overlooking the Arno and the Ponte Vecchio, clinking glasses of Franciacorta, and really, really celebrating the breakthrough that you will get for yourself. You will see nobody comes to these retreats not walking out like, wow, I did not see that for myself. Wow, I didn't think I could have that quickly, or wow, I've gotten the healing that I needed, or I didn't know what was next for me. And I know that too many women are too unsupported. You're working too hard in your job or your marriage or your family or your business or all of the above. Let this be a gift for you to come and be held, seen, taken care of. Let whatever healing needs to set in be healed, and then let whatever new life, new chapter, new version of you that needs to appear. Trust me, if you're coming to the epicenter of the Renaissance, you will get your personal Renaissance. This land is filled with so much love and flair and history and culture and richness and depth. This is the place you want to be for letting go of whatever needs to be left in the past. I get it. There's been trauma, there's been devastation, there's been unfairness, there's been injustice, there's been confusion. Like, why you and why this? I'm going to tell you, God makes sense of it all. So you just got to not give up on you, and you just got to not fall prey to time heals all wounds, because it doesn't. Getting healed heals the wounds, and developing yourself, not just in that masculine way, but really allowing yourself to get great at being feminine, to get great at receiving, to get great at the spiritual insight. You'll see. Your life will so be transformed and made new. So 3 full days come. You're going to be seen, coached. It's an intimate environment. It's a really, really beautiful time, and you're going to meet extraordinary women there as well. So check out the link below. June is coming on up. It's at the end of June, so it's not too late. Don't tell yourself, oh, that's too soon. Rearrange your schedule, book a flight and a hotel. It's not that difficult. I'm going to tell you, there isn't anyone that comes that's like, oh, I really wish I would have waited for the next one. You need your transformation now, so let's come get it. Click on that link in the show notes, or go to divineliving.com/Tuscany. Reserve your spot. Spaces are going fast, and I will see you there for 3 solid, glorious days.